Hello everybody, it's me again, Mr. SLAMTITTYBUMBUM, and this is my channel where I make wonderful pinball machines, all for free. And then like a madman, I just give it all away. Now, this is Last Action Hero, and you've already seen a video that I produced a couple of days ago. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how I did all those wonderful things. Because this is a remake, it's not a recreation of the exact real machine. That's what VPX can do very, very well. Here at Future Pinball, we don't need no stinking ROMs, so we have to write the entire script here on the left from scratch, which allows us to basically rewrite the entire game and make the game do all these wonderful things that they can't do in the real world because they have to bend the knee to the licensed people, or they just don't have enough money in the budget. So that's why I do these remakes. So on the left here we have this script that has to be written to make all this here on the right work. So you first of all have to construct the game in the Future Pinball editor. Now I'm going to let you into a little secret here because I've actually worked on real pinball construction. I worked in a pinball company for 5 years. My office was shared with the mechanical engineer, so I was sat next to the mechanical engineer on the project of the making real pinball games. I mean, we worked on Full Throttle, we worked on Queen, we worked on Alien, and I saw what he did, and I was fascinated by what he did because it's all on CAD. So real pinball machines are precisely engineered mechanical masterpieces, in my opinion. And virtual pinball games, which is what this is just a close approximation, nowhere near as accurate as the real machines are. So if you want to play pinball at its absolute best, you can't beat the real mechanical thing. But a virtual pinball game is just our best guess at how the game should be constructed. So if you overlaid this with a real machine, every single part of it would be completely out of whack, because this is not precision engineered. This is just guesswork. But at the end of the day is when you actually play the game, are you enjoying yourself? Are you having fun? And that's basically what I'm trying to achieve. The end result is it fun? Are you enjoying yourself? So it doesn't really matter if it's not precision engineered. I'm talking mostly Future Pinball and VPX. I think Pinball Arcade actually did create their recreations with exacting measurements. So Pinball Arcade did their games exactly as real machines are constructed. I'm not sure about Pinball FX, whether or not they've got all those measurements as well. Anyway, so we construct the game here in the editor on the right, and then we write all the magic on the left. Now, this is by far the most fun part of the whole process, is writing the code. This is where all the creativity is. This is the film director, basically. Whoever writes the code is the film director. He's the numero uno, the person that is ultimately responsible for the fun, the excitement that this game creates. So what I normally do is when I'm going through the development stage, I will record my footage so I can review it afterwards. So if I've missed anything, I can fix it in the script. So sometimes I'll miss that one of the bulbs didn't light properly. I can miss that one of the targets didn't reset, or the light sequence was out of whack, or the sound effect didn't play, or the quotes were playing over each other. What I'm searching for and what I'm looking for in these videos when I review the footage is imperfections. And that's what I do. I eliminate all the imperfections as best I can. I'm trying to get my games to be perfect, and that's really tough because perfection is unobtainable, but it's something that I'm always chasing. So what I'll do is I'll play the footage here on the right, and then I'll explain what I did in the script on the left. Some of the stuff you'll be familiar with if you've played this game, or if you own this game, you'll be very familiar with how this game plays and the rules, but then you'll notice a few things that I've changed, which I think have enhanced the game to make it more fun. So let's get started.
Last Action Hero, the big ticket for 93.
So first of all, that's not on the original game. What I did is I took that from the trailer, that voice, and I added it to coincide with the reveal of the title on the DMD, and I've held the title on the DMD, so it plays that entire quote, and then it goes into the next phase, which is to show the rules. So that's an enhancement. Because I am writing the script here, I have complete control over the DMD. I can do whatever the hell I want to the DMD. I can speed it up, I can slow it down, I can add new animations, I can take old animations away. So we have complete control over everything here in the script.
Please retain your stubs.
So that's an enhancement as well. That is from the film. In the film, there is a character who gives Danny his ticket. I'll just show you what that looked like in the script. There's many ways to start the game. Reset for new game. So the one that played was retain your stub. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 ways of starting. I actually make these more frequent, but there's actually 6 ways of starting the game so far. And 3 of them revolve around the ticket, which is this thing here, which is all lit up. So it's quite an important part of the film because everything starts with that ticket. So I thought it was a great way of starting the game as well. The other ones are just having Jack Slater say good morning, or I'm back, or who the hell are you? Skill starts as normal. Only on the original game there is this setup which shows the whole sequence of the helicopter and Jack in the lift. I removed all of that and just got on with the skill shot. I mean, it's fine to see that once, but you don't need to see it again. So I just got on with the skill shot. So you make the shot, which is this one here, the uppermost target. The launch will always hit that one there. So that's the one you're always aiming for. So just wait for the lights to hit the top one, and then you will take down the chopper.
You look like chicken, aren't you? Just like Jack Slater.
So that's the kid Danny. That's the dialogue taken from the film, which is in relation to this scoop here, which is all about playing chicken. So there's a slight enhancement to that. There is that the Jack Slater's character will say fire just before he launches the ball out. The reason why it says fire, because originally I was going to have the player control that by pressing the plunger button, and he says fire, and he just waits for you to fire, and then he fires the ball out of the VUK. But I did away with that, so it's automatic, but him saying fire still remains. On the original, there's nothing at all. It just shoots the ball out. And what you saw there was you saw the ball coming through the loop, not quite strong enough to go into the VUK for the crane return. It went through to this outer lane here. Now what happens there is this is a new rule that I've created, whereas if the ball goes to the outer lane, it automatically triggers the super pops. But the ball went through and it exited without hitting a bumper, I think. So that's the wonderful Charles Dance. He says that wonderful line when he ends up in the real world, and he shoots a guy dead, and he's waiting for the police to turn up. Now I love Charles Dance. He's got a wonderful voice, and I'm trying to use as much of his dialogue in this game as possible. And in the background, you can also hear an alternate piece of music because I couldn't use AC/DC's Big Guns. YouTube won't allow it. It just completely blocks the video in all territories if I use AC/DC's Big Guns. The music that you can hear in the background is the music that I used for The Last Ball, which was from an entirely different film, but it worked. The lyrics work for this particular film, which is why I picked it for The Last Ball. More enhancements is on the back wall. You will see 2 sets of bulbs. There's 3 bulbs there and 3 bulbs there, as well as this original graphic here. And these come into play for various things. I just thought that the back wall needed a little bit more illumination. And it's nice to always have bulbs which can light independently. So that's what happened there. When this was shot out, you saw these bulbs, as well as the flashes flashing. So there's a whole new light sequence here going on. Fire! So now we've got the main scoop here, which is lit. It's lit from making this ramp. So every time you make this ramp, and it will either divert this way or divert this way, it will light the feature scoop. So I'm going to hit the feature scoop now, I believe. I'll do it next shot. So the animation that came up there on the original game was just like a which is the fuse. There was no music. So I added what I call the Jack cue. It's a music cue that I've used throughout the game. It's from the movie, and I used it there just to sort of introduce the dynamite fuse going all the way up to the explosion. And then it will start a feature, or it will just spell one of the words, depending on whether you've hit this or not. So what I'll do is I'll just show you that in the script. Sub feature. So that's the feature scoop. So that's the feature scoop right there, and here it is in the script. Various things happen because it's quite an important shot. So nothing was running. This is what happens when anything's running, when any modes are running or multi-balls are running. So nothing was running. All that was happening is that the light was lit, which is what it's here. Bulb features was either on or blinking. It wasn't off, which is basically what that's saying. Was it off? No. Okay, what was it doing then? Sometimes the light comes on for certain modes, so that's what these two subroutines are. But in this case, there was no modes running, so it was just simply to start the feature. So you saw the animation on the screen there. This takes care of the animation. There's the music cue, the music jack cue, which goes meow. And then there's the explosion, which that's the sound effect for the fuse on the dynamite. And then at precisely 1,440 milliseconds, that's when we see the feature start, the next stage after the detonation of the dynamite, which in this case was just to see the last word. So we'll go there. So that's a subroutine that plays immediately after the detonation of the dynamite. And then the one we just saw is this one, it's last. So all it's doing is lighting the last word. So we actually hear the word last. You don't hear it in this because this code is an enhancement. I did a lot of work after this video was released, so I spent another 2 days on the code. So what I've done now is I've added the word last. And there's the sound effect. It's basically the sound effect of the car. As it comes across the screen here, it just makes a little bump over these words here. And then you'll get the follow-up, which is the shots on the DMD, this is all enhanced. The audio is all a massive enhancement over the original. None of this, what you see here, is on the original game. It's my enhancement that I've created for the game, for this special edition. Only the Data East music is the original. All the sound effects are what I've created. But you won't notice. And you shouldn't notice because I've tried to keep it as close to the original as possible. Now, when I shot the ramp there, what was supposed to happen, there was supposed to be a DMD of Arnold lighting his cigar with dynamite. And that didn't show up because there was a bug in this version, which is the last video that I showed. So I fixed that since, though. When you shoot this ramp to light this bulb, there will actually be an animation on the DMD of Arnie lighting his cigar with the dynamite.
Turd can move through parallel worlds, I can move through parallel worlds.
So you see what I mean by the animation. So it plays the animation, there's the jack cue, the explosion, and then it will go to the next feature. Now let's go back and have a look at this one is Find Benedict, I believe. So here we are, Find Benedict. The actual mode is, as I've written here in my little notes, Find Benedict. So Benedict is playing peekaboo, and he wants you to find him. Shoot one of the 3 scoops where Benedict is randomly hidden. So he's hiding in one of these little scoops, you see? And it's picked randomly, so you don't know which one it is. Find him and get 30 million. Firing the smart missile, so you've got an option to fire the smart missile if it's lit, will show Benedict's exact location. So you hit the smart missile and it will light up whichever one he's in, so you'll know which one to hit. Old rule is you only get one chance to find him, pick the wrong scoop, and the feature ends. The bad guy wins. And I've changed it slightly so you can make at least one selection. So if you make one selection, you can have another crack at it. As well as I've enhanced the lighting, I've enhanced the audio, the sound effects. Everything's improved over the original. And there are 2 ways of starting. You just heard him saying move. If that little turd can move between parallel worlds, so that's the one he's just said, but he could have said the other one, which is when I snap my fingers sometime tomorrow. You know the rest of it. So one of those will two quotes will play randomly, and then it kicks the ball out and away we go. So I've added the music there, which I call tension. So you listen to the music, it's kind of a tension type music. So I'm just shooting one of these randomly, and I think on this occasion I actually got it right. So you see there, he's moving around, and you see a timer. So I've got to hit him within 15 seconds, find him within 15 seconds.
Have a nice day.
So quite simple there. When I made the shot, you could see there this little happy face was shot because he shot him. Benedict made that shot. So I had little Danny say, yeah, that's the one. And then I had Benedict come in and say, have a nice day. On the original, I think they do have the quote, have a nice day. But obviously you don't hear Danny. And to start that mode on the original game as well, it actually has the quote, the bad guy can win, which doesn't make any sense at all. I use that quote when you actually fail. So when you fail, he'll say, in this world, the bad guys can win, which makes more sense to say that when the mode fails, not as an introduction. That's the cat target, so when you hit that 10 times, it lights the ball saver. I think that's a new rule that I created that doesn't exist on the real machine. And you'll see the color scheme as well matches Jack's outfit, which is red, brown, and blue jeans. So I changed the ramps to red. I've made all the wireforms match the crane, and this is blue, and the trim is blue. And then these walls here are all brown. So it just basically matches his outfit. So the whole color palette has been changed to match the style from the film. So whenever you tilt the game, I always put funny quotes in for a tilt warning and funny quotes in for the tilt. Some of them are from the film, some are from other Arnold Schwarzenegger films. I'll let you decide which films they come from. Now the reason I'm flailing at this point is because there's a bug. I hit the ramp and it didn't relight the scoop because I found a bug. So I'm flailing in this video now because I know that there's a bug. So I'm just messing about and I'm waiting for the ball to drain. So that's what's happening here. You'll see one of the dynamite sticks hasn't relit. So there was a bug that I had to fix. See? I immediately identified that as a bug. So I thought, bollocks, I've got to fix that bug. So I just let the ball drain and I was just mucking about until the ball drains.
You stupid cretin.
And when the ball goes straight down the middle, you will get a nice little quote from Benedict. Charles Dance's character will call you a cretin, which is very funny. Danny also says, the kid, Danny also says, you stupid idiot. So I like it when the ball goes straight down the middle, which I think is a savable ball. I don't think you've got much choice when the ball goes through the left and right out lanes. But when the ball is coming straight down the middle, I think the player has the option to save it, so it's a less forgiving drain, I would say. So I like to insult the player when the ball goes straight down the middle.
You think I look like Dirty Harry? Come back later.
So that comeback later is actually from the very first teaser that was produced to promote the film. Very little was shown of the actual movie, and it was just Arnold Schwarzenegger just comes up on the screen and says come back later. So that's not in the film, it's from the first teaser. All the samples in the original game are very low quality, so all I'm doing really is I'm replacing their low quality samples with high quality samples taken directly from source, and then I'm adding like hundreds more quotes that were never in the Data East original because they had a teeny tiny little bit of space for all the quotes, tiny little memory in those days.
I'll be back.
That's from Terminator, obviously. And the reason I stuck that in there is because they do reference that in the film where he says, I'll be back, and then Danny says, we always say that. And now you can see that one of the dynamites is blinking correctly. So I have fixed the bug since this, but when that ball drained, it did reset the bug, and when I hit the ramp, the correct thing did light up. So something in the game went wrong and created the bug where the next mode wouldn't start. But I've since fixed that. About 3 or 4 days of work, and I've added a lot of extra things, and I've fixed a lot of bugs. So what else is going to happen? Okay, so this has an introduction by the cop. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's quite important to the film as well. So I'll put his quotes in the game as much as possible. And what I've done here is I've just created a light show. And this is another one that contained a lot of bugs that I had to fix subsequent to this video. So what happens during this mode is you're supposed to hit these targets, and it shows an animation of the Ripper firing a machine gun at the cop cars. Now in the movie he doesn't have a machine gun. In the movie he just has an axe. So yeah, this had a bug as well, but I don't think I hit the targets in this demonstration here. I think I just didn't do anything, and then it just times out. But also I added a new feature where if you hit the scoops, the Ripper takes out 2 cops. But the light show here, there's 2 lights underneath the apron which mimic police lights. The topper lights are flashing at the same time as well. So you've got that police siren thing doing its thing, which I recreated again for Lethal Weapon, but for something completely different. When I actually recorded this, I was not sure what I was supposed to be doing because the rules were not clear to me. So I actually thought I had to hit the Ripper shots. This is what I went for. I went for the Ripper shot, and it didn't do anything. And then I realized, oh yeah, I must be doing something wrong because it didn't do anything. Then afterwards I realized, oh, I'm supposed to hit these targets.
Chicken and roll like don't crash.
So every time these lights are completed, you will get a quote from either Jack Slater or from Benedict himself. It's basically plays out the scene where they meet for the first time. You know, when he opens the door and he says, I understand you're looking for drug dealers," or something like that. And there's a whole speech which plays out when these eyeballs are lit. And then that was just Danny saying something about, you can't play chicken in real life. It's actually a very, very clever film when you think about it, because it's true, you can't play chicken in real life. Only in the movies does one person chicken out.
Get out.
That's from Terminator as well. When he says "get out" and he gets in the truck, very famous scene. Now every time you hit the spinner, that cop, the captain, he's ranting and raving. Now the idea in my game is you have to keep it spinning, and he gets more and more angry, and then eventually Arnold Schwarzenegger's character will say something like "shut up" or "put a sock in it" or "I'm not deaf." So the idea is to keep that spinning until he gets aggravated to say something, which I don't do in this video, but that's funny when he actually steps in and tells him to shut up. And if it's still spinning when the ball drains, the captain will say, "God damn it, Jack, I'm talking to you." So a lot of thought has gone into this game. I love the film, and when I'm playing a pinball game, I want the pinball experience to be as close to the film as possible, within the limitations of a pinball experience, of course. But I thought that whole process of him screaming and shouting was funny, so I had to add that into the game as authentically as I could.
Got to catch the red eye.
So we have the red eye. Now you didn't hear it, but when the thing sweeps across there, the instructions or whatever it was, that's actually the sound of a plane. So I had to go on YouTube and found a sound effect of a plane taking off, which I added to that part there. And then of course I had Schwarzenegger saying, "We have to board the red eye," or "We have to find the red eye," whatever it is. And this mode is all about shooting the red eye, which is this here. So you've just got to shoot that target, which is very difficult to do. And I don't think I do it. I think I drain the ball very quickly, which gets a nice little comment from Benedict.
I'm sorry, I know this is new and difficult for you.
So that is an outlane quote. So let's have a look at the outlane quotes. Left out lane. It was actually the right out lane. It doesn't matter. Left and right out lanes are the same thing. So when the outlanes are hit, I normally have, again, quotes that are said sort of derogatory towards the player, like dickhead, what did I do wrong, god damn, what's going on, wait, stop, no, listen, suck weenie. I don't know where suck weenie comes from. There are slightly different ones on the left, slightly different ones on the right. On that occasion, he said, what did he say? Oh, he said something about it's new and difficult for you, which is a brilliant line that I had to use for that. And you can see that when the ball drains, it waits for the quote to finish before it starts the end of ball process. So every quote in this game has to be precisely timed. You can't just put quotes in there. You have to wait for it to finish before it continues with whatever it's doing. And you can't have quotes playing over each other as well. One has to finish before the other one will play. So now we're about to start multi-ball. I have no idea where I got that piece of music, but I thought it was a perfect fit for the starting of the multi-ball. So it's telling the player that multi-ball is ready. So I'm just about to make the shot. Now you'll notice that on the animations, I don't have any associated sound effects. I muted that. On the original game, there are some quotes that play. I think he says, I iced that guy to cone a phrase, is what they say on the original Data East game. But you hear it over and over and over again, and it's just not funny when you hear it like a millionth time. So I muted that. You picked the wrong day. Now that's from the movie, but I can't remember where. And then I added a light show. The light show has improved since this video. I've made some enhancements to it, and then the toppers are flashing, but you can't see the toppers, but the toppers will flash. You hear very closely as well. You hear that jack cue as well. So every time you hear that down, down, that's what I call the jack cue. So that's playing at the beginning of the multi-ball as well. And then we get the theme, which is Last Action Hero, which is what you hear now playing in the background. And the magnet has been moved. On the original game, the magnet is down here. But on my game, I moved the magnet to the ticket. So the whole ticket is lit. On the original game, it's just this light. This eye lights up. But I've lit up the whole ticket. So the ticket is the magnet. It has magical powers. So there's two very powerful magnets which are throwing the ball around during the multi-ball. Whenever this ticket is lit, the magnet is on. So I made the jackpot. Now I'm going to hit the super jackpot, which is to hit the lane here, which will go to the crane. The ball will drop the ball into the crane, and that will collect the double jackpot, I think it is. Didn't get it, so the crane resets. I added a bulb to the top of the crane as well. I don't think there's a bulb on the top of the original. I don't think there is. But you saw the magnet there, which just absolutely lodged the ball right down the middle, which can happen. But it was worse when the magnets were here on the original. Way too close to the flippers. You had no chance. But there, one of the balls was just slung down, right down the middle. But that's the way it goes when you put magnets in the playfield. And I love playfield magnets. So I had 5 seconds to restart the multi-ball. I'm going to make that a little bit longer. I'm going to make that about 8 seconds. 5 seconds isn't long enough. And he says there, Jack Slater says, "No sweat, kid, you tried." Because I did try and restart multi-ball, but I missed the shot. On the edited version, I switched out from this point. I edited. What you see from now on is not in the video that I posted on YouTube. Because the frame rate is dipping. That's why I edited it out. Because what happens is when I'm playing this game, everything's running smoothly at 60 frames per second, but the capture software will sometimes drop, as it does here. But I don't know it's happening until I actually review the footage. So when I'm playing the game at 60 frames per second, everything's running smoothly, beautifully, but then when I review the footage, sometimes it just tanks. The capture software just tanks for whatever reason. And I can't figure out why it's doing that. So that's why I have to chop big chunks of my gameplay out, so you don't have to suffer the terrible frame rate, the choppy frame rate.
Get out.
But that's, like I said, that's just the capture software. Now I'm going to skip all the way to the end. You get the idea of what's going on here. I'm going to show you something which is pretty cool, which is right at the end of the game.
Don't give up your day job.
So that was an outlane drain. Was that day job? Let's have a look. Left outlane. Where did he say that? There you go, day job. So that plays only when it's the last ball. So when the last ball drains, specifically, he will only ever say, don't give up your day job. All of the times it will play one of 8 different quotes.
No way.
So what's happening here is that there's a wizard mode in this game. Now, to get to the wizard mode, normally you have to complete all of these features, but I have added a shortcut. You can actually get straight to the wizard mode. If you play well enough and collect enough tickets, you can go straight to go to the movies, which is the wizard mode in this game. But in this occasion, I didn't have enough tickets. So you buy the tickets, or you sell the tickets, but if you don't have enough, you get the money refunded, which comes back to you as points. So you can actually skip to the wizard mode without actually having to complete all of this stuff.
I don't even know this kid.
So we enter in the high score. Now, what's really cool is a new feature that I've added that's never been seen in pinball before. Now, traditionally, on a pinball game of this old, there's a match sequence. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do something different. So what I did is I had a bumper match sequence. So the player has to choose one of the bumpers, and they have to determine which one of these bumpers had the most hits during a game. And you'll see that in a sec. So it says here, which bumper had the most hits? So now I'm telling the player to select one of the bumpers. So it says here on the left says choose, and on the right says confirm. So with the left flipper, they choose one of the bumpers. With the right flipper, they lock in their choice. So which one of these bumpers had the most hits during the game? Now, it's impossible to tell because they're bumpers. Who the hell knows? So I make my selection. I think I choose this one. And that tells me that I was wrong, and it was actually bumper number 1, which had the most hits. It had 42 hits. This is bumper number 1. Bumper number 2 had 33. Bumper number 3, which is this one, had 17. Now, it's completely random, so you have no idea which bumper had the most hits. Now, that's a fun way of doing match. Now, if I'd have picked the correct bumper, I would have won an extra ball, and the game would have continued. But because I picked the wrong one, the game is over.
I'll be back.
That's what you always say.
You?
Again, that's a funny quote at the end of the film where he says, I'll be back. And then the kid says, that's what you always say. In another one, he says, rubber baby bumpers or something like that. And again, the kid says, that's what you always say. Because I spliced that to make it even funnier, that he would say something ridiculous and then the kid says, that's what you always say. So there's different quotes for when the game ends. There's quotes all over this thing. I've just gone through the entire film. And what I really like is the cartoon one with the cartoon cat, especially the music, which I just took from Warner Brothers. So this will give you an idea. So this is the script. Like I said, I have to write this thing from scratch. Now, it was originally written by Francisco. You can see here. So I did an Ultimate Pro version, which was upgraded from Francisco's original build. Now, I have to give Francisco a shout out specifically for the artwork that he did, because this is the artwork that he created. He actually redrew this thing from the original. So you can see there, redraw by Francisco 666 in 2013. So he redrew this whole thing. He even redrew all the awful art. I mean, look at that. That's supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he reproduced it exactly as it is. And this is the kind of artwork that I absolutely love. Very colourful, hand-drawn art is how pinball art should be. Now I'm going to compare that to what I created for Predator. So this is the artwork that I created for Predator, which is pretty decent. But as you can see, it's a composition of many elements, including photographs, clip art. This is all clip art, and then there's a movie poster in the middle, and then there's my stuff. But it looks okay. But it's by no means as good as hand-drawn art. Hand-drawn art wins all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But I can't draw. I can't draw to save my life. I could when I was at school. I was actually a pretty good drawer, but I stopped doing it. And I can't draw today. So yeah, this game isn't finished by any stretch of the imagination. There's so much more to do. I'm going to add more features. I'm going to add even more quotes, more music, enhance the audio design, enhance the lighting. I'm just going to keep working on it. I'll just keep dipping in and out. I mean, I'm hopeful that I'll get those 10,000 subscribers very soon, within the next 5 years, I hope. And then I can release this game with all my other games and you can enjoy it. Okay, and so let's draw this video to an end. And I thought that'd be quite interesting to see the process, because you don't normally see the script when you're playing these games. It's all in the ROM. And we don't see the ROM either. You know, we have to write this stuff based on what we see in gameplay videos or from actual experience of playing the game. So, you know, we don't open up a ROM window and see exactly how the ROM was originally written. We just make it up. So we make up the layout, we get it as close as possible, and then we make up the rules as close as possible. All right, once again, oh my God, look at my battery on my laptop. I have to plug in my my charger. That's it for today. I'll see you again in another video very soon. Toodaloo.